Alright, next. Okay. The sky was just beginning to line up with the dawn of the second day of our school trip. Ozzy and I were busy training on the roof of the hotel. Basically, we were practicing our movements. Ozzy would dash towards me, trying to use her magical healing powers at close range to develop her reflexes. Similarly, I was training by evading her. We would continue these sessions right up into the day of our raiding game. This was vital preparation after all. I needed to find some way to close the gap between myself and strong guys like Cyborg and Volley. I had to get stronger. Even if it was only one step at a time, I wanted to improve. And the only way to do that was practice. Sorry for making you help me with this during our school trip, Azia, I said between deep breaths. She shook her head. I don't mind. I'm enjoying our morning in Kyoto, Issei. She gave me a radiant smile, as though to reassure me. She really was a wonderful person. I was so proud of her, my precious Azia. You can train better with a sparring partner, right? That was Kiba's voice. I glanced around, spotting both him and Zenobia. I bought these wooden swords, so why don't we use these? Our match against the princely house is coming up soon. We'd better make sure not to destroy the hotel, though. Zenobia. I could see she was enjoying herself, but did she really mean to haul those wooden swords around with her while sightseeing? Then again, that might be the only way to respond to an enemy attack without wreaking absolute havoc. Just as I thought as much, Kiba created a sword in one hand. Zenobia, use this to fight if you need to. A holy sword. I should be able to keep this in my school bag, thanks. Zenobia accepted the weapon, twirling it around in her hands. Kiba's balance breaker allowed him to create demon swords and holy ones, of a certain caliber anyway. They might have not been at the same level as holy swords of legend, but they were still powerful. Hold on. Enemy attacks. Just thinking about that completely ruined my mood. A battle could break out here. Was that the power of the dragon within me, drawing potential enemies to my presence? I didn't want to think about it. I slapped myself on the face, trying to pull myself together. Okay, let's keep practicing until it's time for roll call. And so, we resumed our morning training session. Come on, you losers, let's go! Kiryu said, her glasses glinting as she pointed to a nearby bus stop. Okay, we boys cried back in unison. The first day of our trip had been an unfortunate hiccup, but that wasn't going to keep us from following Azazel's advice and making the most of our time. From what I heard, Sashi and his group were doing the same. Our second day began with a bus ride from Kyoto Station to Kiyomizu-dera. We had each bought bus passes at the station and were lining up with the other students. Once we were on board, the vehicle began its journey towards the temple, leaving us time to enjoy the unfamiliar urban scenery. Upon arriving, we explored the surrounding area before starting to climb the slope leading to Kiyomizu-dera proper. Elegant Japanese-style houses lined the road on either side. They call this place Senenzaka, 3-year hill. Apparently, if you trip, you'll be dead within 3 years, Kiryu explained. So, be careful, got it? How scary! Azuya seemed genuinely terrified, hugging my arm tightly. It was only a legend, but seeing how clumsy Azuya could be, it was probably best that she took precaution. She was safe in my company. At that moment, Zenobia grabbed a hold of my other arm. What's wrong, Zenobia? I asked uncertainly. That's a real scary magic technique to cast on a slope. She responded with a slight waver in her voice. Her expression was stiff. She actually believed that story? Zenobia, you sure had a habit of arriving at massive misunderstandings. There was no denying that this side of her was cute, however. And so I climbed the scope with the beauty hanging from either arm. I could feel the enmity of my two negative influencers watching from behind. It sure felt good to be the object of their envy. A huge gate stood at the top of the hill. Did it mark the start of Kiyomizu's era? We passed through the gate, flanked on both sides by wrathful guardian statues, and entered the temple grounds. See that, Azia? This shrine has only the best of pagan culture. Yes, you can feel the history. 3 cheers to paganism. In their excitement, the church trio was making some pretty rude comments. Come on, you 3. There are gods and Buddhas here. Can't you feel them watching? Be mindful of what you say, alright? The famed side of the temple that jutted over the hillside came into sight. I recognized it from TV. One glance over the side was enough to understand how high it was, but in my current state, I thought I might be able to survive the plunge. Oh, hold on. Why did my mind keep leading to combat? Apparently, there are a lot of cases of people surviving the fall to the ground, Kiryu explained. Ah, so even regular humans could endure it. Wait, people seriously fell from here? Within the temple grounds, there was also a small separate shrine where people could pray for health, good grades, and a chance for romance. I figured I might as well throw some coins in the offer box and make a wish. Seeing as I was a demon, I had no way of knowing whether the Buddhas would heed my prayer. Still, I did hope to enter university one day. Kyoto, why don't you and Azia check your fortunes and see how compatible you 2 are? At Kiryu's urging, we both drew lots offered at the temple, Kiryu peeking all the while. It says we got an excellent future ahead. Looks like we're a good match, Azia, I said. Only then did I realize her cheek had turned scarlet in clear joy. Yes, I'm so happy. Oh, this is wonderful. She hugged a piece of paper in her arms, crying happy tears. Seeing her so thrilled was making me feel a bit bashful too. I had to thank the Buddhas for endorsing our relationship. Thank you. I clapped my hands together in prayer. I'm glad. Yep, me too. This is a bit of a relief, really. Beside us, Zenobia, Irina, and Kiryu were nodding their heads in approval. Cut it out. Now I'm really embarrassed. I guess we've been left out in the cold, huh? Don't cry, Matsuda. We'll just be Issei to a pulp once we get back to the hotel. My 2 lovelorn friends were sulking gloomily in the corner. We explored the temple area, bought a few souvenirs, and then started back down towards the bus stop. Kiryu led the way, checking her watch frequently. Next up is Kakuji, the Temple of Silver Pavilion. We'll run out of time if we don't hurry. Kiryu, still checking her watch, led the way. She was right. It was already past 10 o'clock. If we were going to visit the other 2 destinations, we couldn't afford to dawdle. Kakuji. As I pictured our next destination, we boarded the bus and left Kiyomizu behind. It isn't really silver? Those were Zenobia's first words upon setting eyes on the famed temple. She wasn't wrong, I guess. It technically wasn't silver. Still, Zenobia's level of shock was incredible. Her mouth was hanging agape. Zenobia was really looking forward to it. I even heard her repeating to herself that King Kakuji is made of silver, while King Kakuji is made of gold. She was expecting them to glimmer in the light. Her eyes were sparkling with excitement. Ozzy explained as she hugged her friend's trembling shoulders. I guess I wasn't the only one prone to fantasies, although Zenobia's were quite different. There are a lot of theories, Kiryu stated. Some claim that they gave up on covering it in silver foil when Yoshihisa Ashikaga died because of the shogunate's finances ran dry. Seriously, had this bespectacled girl researched our destinations ahead of time? She seemed to know a great deal about them. I was struck by a familiar impression to what I felt at Fushimi Inari yesterday. The autumn scenery here in Kyoto, the mountains and trees, it was all beautiful. Perhaps it would give off an altogether different impression in winter too. After visiting Ginkakuji, we purchased more souvenirs and ate lunch at a nearby restaurant. Then, it was time to make for Kinkakuji. It's gold! This one's really gold! Zenovia was clearly much more pleased this time. It's gold! She cried out, her face beaming with joy as she stretched out her arms to the heavens. I had seen this building before on TV, but even so, I was overwhelmed by its brilliance. Here and there, I sighted other students. Everyone was taking photographs. Matsuda in particular was going crazy with his camera. I figured I would take a few myself as a memento, sending them via my phone to the club members back at Kuo Academy. After looking around, we picked up more souvenirs and decided to take a break at the tea house. Enjoy, said a young lady as she brought us our cups of freshly brewed matcha tea and some Japanese sweets. I raised my tea to my lips and found that it wasn't bitter, as I expected. In fact, with the Japanese sweets, its flavor was just right. Not bad. Irina seemed to like it as well. It's a little bitter, though. Evidently, Azu was having a bit of difficulty with the flavor. She continued to drink it slowly, though, so she couldn't have hated it. That gold was so shiny, Zenovia muttered like a person in a dream. Kinkakuji had obviously left a huge impression on her. Her eyes were positively dazzling. She hadn't even touched her tea. It was interesting to see that side of her today she didn't often show. It occurred to me with some surprise that she might actually be the one enjoying our student lives the most. Zenovia, let's pray to commemorate this visit, Irina suggested. Nodding in agreement, Zenovia replied, Good idea. I'll pray too, Azia chimed in. The church trio began, sending their thoughts up to the heavens. What kind of commemoration was this? Before I knew it, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We had been moving from side to side at a rapid pace, but time was still slipping far too quickly. Well, technically, we had all lined up to the sound of the bell at King Kakuji, and that had taken an unexpectedly long time. Gah, groper, pervert! That was a woman's voice. I rushed out of the tea house to find a man being restrained by the staff. Breasts, let me touch them. Seriously? There were molesters at King Kakuji now? What a way to ruin a mood. Groper, Matsuda said as he returned from the rest area. They said something about that on the TV news this morning. There was one in Gion too. And the guy we saw at the station seems like a lot, huh? Motohama pushed his glasses further up his nose before responding. What are you talking about, Matsuna? You're the one who assaulted me on that bullet train yesterday. Right. That. Nah, how do I put this? I was sleeping, so I really wasn't there, but all I could think about was touching boobs. I wonder what came over me. Matsuda tilted his head to one side, evidently puzzled. To me, it seemed entirely natural for a guy our age to have urges like that. That's youth for you, Motohama concluded. Matsuda nodded. The sins of adolescence. Sure, but you had better quit trying to touch a man's chest. I was about to agree with him, but I was interrupted by my cell phone ringing. Oh dear, it was Akano. Why would she be calling me now? Hello? Is everything alright, Akano? Hello, Issei. No, it's nothing too important, but, well, something has been bothering Konako, you see. What do you mean? You sent some photographs just now, yes? Yeah, of King Kakuji. Is something wrong? I asked, perplexed. It seems you captured something in those pictures, too. I did? Yes. There seems to be some spirits in the background. Fox spirits. Is something happening over there? Fox spirits aren't uncommon in Kyoto, but even so... Akano's voice sounded somewhat worried. I felt a chill course across my skin. No, everything's okay here. It looks like Ozzy is calling me. We'll have to talk later. Do contact us if anything happens, okay? Sure thing. I hung up. That had been a lie about Ozzy calling me. I double-checked the photographs I had taken earlier. They all look like typical images of King Kakuji. I couldn't see anything else. Was this the kind of thing that was only visible to those who were attuned? There were certain phenomena that only Nekomato like Kodako could detect. In any event, Ozzy and the others needed to hear about this. Looking back inside of the tea house, I found Matsuda, Motohama, and Kiryu sound asleep. That didn't seem to be the result of typical exhaustion. There was no way that they could have passed out in that short of a time while I was on the phone. Ozzy and the others were still awake. Sonovi was glaring menacingly at the female employee of the tea house. Bewildered, I shifted my gaze to our server. So that's why Sonovi is on guard. A pair of animal ears were sticking out from the employee's head. She had a tail too. It was clear that she wasn't human. Now that I had time to take a careful look, I realized the figures surrounding us all had similar bestial ears. All of the regular tourists were sound asleep right where they had been sitting. I had been naive to assume they wouldn't attack us so long as we kept to the famous sightseeing spots. Was King Kakuji part of the territory too? Zenobia retrieved her short holy sword from her bag, urging Izzy to move behind her. I similarly stretched out my left arm and activated my gauntlet. Wait! Came a familiar voice. It was Rosvice. What are you doing here? I asked. Azazel told me to come find you, she hurriedly explained between breaths. He did? What's going on? I questioned while keeping an eye on my surroundings. Come to think of it, these spirits weren't exuding the same hostility that I felt yesterday. It's a ceasefire. Or rather, we've cleared up a misunderstanding. The daughter of the matriarch, the nine-tailed fox who runs things here, wants to apologize to you all, Rosvice said. A truce. So that mix-up had been resolved. Did that mean we didn't need to worry about the foxes attacking? Despite my doubts, a young girl with fox ears approached me and bowed her head. I am a spirit in the service of our honored leader. We would like to offer our apologies for the incident yesterday. We've asked the princess to make amends as well. So, we would greatly appreciate if you would join us. She wanted us to follow them? Where? Before I could ask, the foxwoman went on. Please come to the secret capital where the spirits dwell. The Demon King and the Fallen Angel Governor has already joined us. Apparently, while we have been sightseeing, Seraphol and Azazel have been working to smooth out the incident from yesterday. We set foot onto what I could only describe as another world. The streets looked like something out of the Edo period, lined with old-style houses from which the faces of strange creatures loomed from seemingly every door and window. We passed under a secluded torii gate in a corner of King Kakuji, and were instantly transported to this place. It was a somewhat dim plane of existence, with a unique atmosphere. The residents of the old houses emerged to welcome us. A one-eyed spirit with a massive face, another with a plate on its head, probably a kappa, followed by what looked like tanuki standing upright on two legs. Each of them stared at us with plain curiosity. We followed the fox lady to what must have been the princess's residence. We moved along the dark path with only lantern for light. Whoa, shaw. Whoa, I've been taken aback there. Out of nowhere, the lantern spouted eyes and a mouth and started laughing. It was a Kanchan Obaki, a lantern monster. My apologies. The spirits and the creatures here do love to cause mischief. They shouldn't cause you any harm, though, the fox lady assured us as she led us to our destination. Is this your realm? I asked. It was clear that whatever this place was, it was connected to Kyoto. Yes, the fox lady answered. This is where most of the spirits of Kyoto choose to reside. I believe demons like yourself make use of spatial fields in your raiding games. This area was created using similar means. It goes by a number of names. Some of us call it the underside of Kyoto, others the inner capital. Naturally, just like in your demon society, there are spirits who prefer to live on the main side of the city too. The underside of Kyoto. It did seem curiously similar to the fields used for raiding games. Humans. No, demons, apparently. Demons, eh? That's a rare sight. Is that pretty foreigner girl a demon too? That's a dragon as well. I could sense it. Demons and dragons. I could hear the voices of many spirits gossiping around us. It seemed that demons were pretty rare around here. Well, that made sense since it was a spirit territory. After passing through the residential area and crossing over a small river, we arrived at a small grove. Inside, there was a torii gate. Beyond it stood a huge mansion, its appearance one of ancient dignity. Zazel and Leviathan were waiting for us beyond the torii gate. Good, you're here. Yoo-hoo, everyone! Even in the world of spirits, those two acted no different from usual. Standing between them was a blonde-haired girl, the one who had led the attack on us yesterday. Maybe I should call her Ninetails? Rather than a shrine maiden outfit, the girl was dressed now in a gorgeous kimono, like something from the Sengoku period. Trust me when I say she was a genuine petite princess. I brought them, Lady Kuno, the foxwoman from the tea house reported. Then she abruptly vanished with a burst of flame. Huh? Was that what they called a kitsunbai, a firefox? The princess stepped forward. My name is Kuno. I'm the daughter of Yasuka. She's the one who governs the spirits of all Kyoto, both inner and outer. Having introduced herself, she bowed her head deeply. I'm sorry about yesterday. I shouldn't have attacked you without knowing the situation. I ask for your forgiveness. She said an apology. I scratched my cheek in embarrassment. It's fine, I guess, Zenovia replied. So long as we cleared up that misunderstanding. After our long journey, I'd be happy so long as we can enjoy the rest of our trip. We don't wish to cause any trouble. She didn't want to get into any unnecessary fights while we were here either. That's right, Irina continued. An angel needs to have the capacity to forgive, but I don't bear any grudges. Azia smiled. Yes, there's nothing more important than peace. I had no reason to dispute anything the three of them said. However, I felt a touch of shame as a man, being the last to speak up here. Yeah, I'm fine with things too. Please, there's no need to keep banging your head like that. But... Evidently, the incident yesterday was worrying this girl more than it had us. I knelt down beside the princess and tried to meet her gaze. Can I call you Kuno? You're worried about your mother, aren't you? Of course. I get why you jumped to conclusions yesterday. Things could have gotten out of hand, but we worked it out, and you apologized because you realized that you were mistaken, right? Yes, that's right. I placed my hand on Kuno's shoulder and grinned. In that case, we won't hold it against you. Kuno's face turned bright red. Thank you, she muttered. All right, everything was okay. No more misunderstandings. Azazel poked me in the back. That's our breast dragon. You sure have a way with kids, eh? Don't joke about that. I'm doing my best here. No, that was amazing, breast dragon. Yes, I'm moved. You really are great with kids. All I could do was blush in response to Zenovia, Azia's, and Irina's compliments. Seriously, you guys, you're embarrassing me here. Honestly, you showed a surprising amount of maturity. As your teacher, I'm proud of you, Rosvice admitted. Had her opinion of me improved? Just how low did I rank with her right now? Maybe if I tried to start a conversation about 100 yen shops, I'd go up in her eyes? I won't lose. The breast dragon is out recruiting converts, but my own TV show, Miracle Leviathan, won't come up second best. Why was Leviathan burning with competitive ambition? Seriously, Demon Society wasn't at war, There was no need for dangerous passion. I'm sorry about what I did, Kuno said, clearly embarrassed. But please, please, I need you to help save my mother. The leader of the spirits who controlled Kyoto, the nine-tailed fox Yasuka, apparently left her mansion residence a few days ago to meet with a messenger of Sakura from Mount Miru. Unfortunately, Yasuka never arrived at the meeting site. When her fellow spirits investigated, they found one of her Karasu Tengu bodyguards near death. Before breathing his last, the Karasu Tengu revealed that they had been attacked, with their assailants kidnapping Yasuka. And so, the spirits of Kyoto began to investigate any suspicious new arrivals in the city. That was how they ended up attacking us. After that, Azazel Leviathan met with Kuno and the other spirits to clarify that the underworld had no involvement with what happened, and at the same time, explained that the most likely culprits were the Chaos Brigade. It looks like the situation is getting serious, I stated after hearing all the details. We have been invited to Yasuka's mansion residence, sitting in the hall with Kuno occupying the highest seat. Ever since the three great powers decided to join hands in an alliance, this kind of thing has been happening non-stop. Last time, it was Loki coming after Odin, right? This time, we're dealing with terrorists. Azazel explained sullenly. Azazel hoped to live a peaceful life, so there was no way he would forgive the actions of the Chaos Brigade. He was probably simmering with rage. Kuno was flanked by an elder fox lady and a long-nosed elderly mountain ascetic. The old man was a leader of the Tengu and had enjoyed good relations with the Nine-Tailed Fox clan for a long time. He seemed to be worried about Yasuka's safety too, just as their daughter was. Lord Governor, Lady Demon King, is there anything you could do to help rescue Princess Yasuka? We shall lend you any assistance you require, he said. The old Tengu showed us a painting of a beautiful blonde woman in a shrine maiden outfit, and she had animal ears sticking out from her head. It couldn't be. This is the portrait of our Princess Yasuka. Seriously? Her breasts were massive. They were even peeking from the top of her shrine maiden outfit. Just what would those terrorists plan to do with the big bosom fox lady? If it was something indecent, I would never forgive them. At least we could be certain that the kidnappers are still in Kyoto, Azazel remarked. What makes you say that? I questioned. Because the flow of energy around the city hasn't been disturbed, Azazel replied with a nod of his head. Nine-tailed foxes play a role in maintaining the balance between different forces of nature in any given territory. If she were to leave Kyoto, or if she had been killed, you can bet there would be some major calamity coming on. Since there was no sign of that, it's most likely that she's alright, and that her kidnappers are still nearby. I hadn't realized Kyoto was like that. This trip was full of surprises. Still, if Yasuka was safe, there was a good chance that we could help rescue her. Turning to Leviathan, Azazel inquired, Seraphal, how is the investigation going on the demon side? I've ordered our people to look into every detail. I mobilized all of our staff familiar with Kyoto too. Next, Azazel's gaze fell upon us. Looks like we're short on manpower, so we'll likely need your help as well. Given your history of fighting superpowered opponents, we might have you pitch in against those wannabe heroes of the Chaos Brigade. Sorry about this, but we better plan for the worst. Seeing as they aren't with us, I'll fill in Kiba into the Teacher Familia. Until then, make the most out of the trip, but remember that we'll be counting on you in case of an emergency. Okay, we responded in unison. In the end, our Kyoto holiday was no longer a mere school trip. Maybe getting all the famous sites out of the way quickly had been the right call. Kuno put her hands together and bowed her head, with the fox lady and the old Tengu beside her following suit. I beg you all, please help save my mother. I beg of you. The child's voice trembled with evident grief. She may have had the elegant mannerisms of a princess, but she was still at the age where she was dependent on her mother. Fury began to rise within me. I didn't know what they were playing at, but if I saw those Chaos Brigade guys, I would catch every last one of them. Who did they think they were, kidnapping a lady like that? Plus, Yasuka might grant me a special reward for saving her. Oh ho ho, are you the Red Dragon Emperor? I hear that you're the one who rescued me. Just what manner of reward should I grant you, I wonder? Oh, I see that you're staring at my body. Is that what you desire? Oh ho ho, very well. Shall I teach you the pleasures of Kyoto? The erotic fantasy had just given me a nosebleed. That enthralling kimono-clad nine-tailed fox lady had possessed my brain. Her breasts. Her breasts. Issei, are you thinking of something dirty? Azia asked. Look at my way with keen displeasure. She sure had a powerful intuition when it came to my imaginations. I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. This wouldn't do. I had to take the young princess's plea seriously. With a newfound sense of resolution, I prepared myself for battle as we continued on our screw trip. Where could those new possibilities of mine have disappeared to? I sure could use something like that right about now. There was no sign of them returning. However, were they even in Kyoto? There was no explaining how, yet I felt that they weren't too far away. There was so much to choose from. Night had fallen, and I was lying on the futon in my room. I had taken a bath after dinner. Yeah, there was no beating an all-you-can-eat buffet, and everything had been so exquisite and classy. After visiting the spirit world, we returned to Kakuji, woke up Matsuda and the others, still sound asleep, and continued with our sightseeing. We explored the area around the temple grounds, and purchased more souvenirs until it was time to return. Back at the hotel, we met with Kiba and the Sitri Familia to discuss our next moves. We would continue to follow the sightseeing plans tomorrow. However, everyone made sure to carry emergency magic transportation circles to jump back to the hotel at a moment's notice. If word came out from Azazel, we had to leap into action. To be honest, all this tension really dampened the fun. We were planning to visit the Arashiyama area tomorrow, where we would meet up with Kuno. It seemed she hoped to get us around as an apology. I tried to turn her down, seeing as no one was upset with her, but she insisted. Actually, it was Azazel who urged us to accept. He said something about this being the first step on a road to a greater collaborations between the Underworld and Spirit Society. On top of that, Kuno was basically a VIP, the daughter of one of the biggest names in Kyoto. Was it truly alright to leave someone that important to us? I needed to take care not to make a rude remark. I wonder what the Prez was up to right now. And Akuno too. And Konako. Heck, even Gasper. My thoughts drifted to the other club members who had been left behind at Kuo Academy. They had no idea what we were embroiled in. After all, this whole affair was top secret. Oh, how I miss the Prez's breasts. When I get home, I would have to make sure to bury my face in them. How was I to will away the remaining hours of the day? Matsuda and Morohama had gone to peep at the women's bathing area, but I decided to pass the night. Then again, the idea of breaking past Rosvice and the Sitri Familia's defenses sounded fun. What was I to do? I found myself torn whether to try to sneak a glimpse of the women's bathing area. Knock knock came a sound on my door. Yeah? I answered. Issei, it's me. That was Asia's voice. Had something happened? Come in. She stepped inside, dressed in her nightgown. What's up, Asia? I thought we could have some fun. Zenobi and Ina will be coming later too. Kiryu said that she was busy discussing Kyoto with some of the other girls from the class, so she won't be joining though. Seriously? 3 beautiful girls are gonna come into my room for a bit of fun? What if we do? We could try out that game based on rock, paper, scissors, where the loser had to remove a piece of clothing. That kind of activity was perfect. While I was formulating my latest perverted scheme, Issei, He might have already found it. Matsuda and Monohama's voices sounded down the corridor. Were they planning on barging into my room? Azuya, this way. Uh-huh, Issei. Something inside me didn't want my two buddies stumbling on us together, so I rushed to the closet with a bewildered Azuya. I closed the sliding closet door from within and raised a finger to my lips, urging my hiding party to remain silent. Before long, the two sets of footprints entered my room, opening the main door. He isn't here. Don't tell me he already knows where the peeking spot into the women's bathroom area is. What? This is bad. Is he trying to get a head start on us? Going to wish the female bodies alone? That has to be it. Let's go, Matsuda. Right. The steps faded off, suggesting they left. Hold up. There's a peeping spot into the women's bathing area? I hadn't known. Damn it. I was maturely intrigued. What was I supposed to do now? As I racked my brain, the words of my comrades and lecherousness echoed in my mind. Azuya took a hold of my hand. When I met her gaze, I recognized the determination in it. She looked resolved to do something. Issei, when you were with Riaz on the platform at Kyoto Station, you kissed her, didn't you? Had she spotted us? Perhaps Azuya had come back and happened upon us by accident. Regardless of what occurred, she had witnessed it. It was a goodbye kiss. I see. You were so intimate. I was right. You and Riaz, Issei. But I also want to. Azuya stared straight at me. Something about her expression was spellbinding. Won't you kiss me too? She moved her face near mine. A fucking kiss. Our lips overlapped so naturally. It didn't feel perverted in any way. There was no sense of lust. It was the joining of two people that treasured each other. The moment we connected, I nearly jumped at the sense of the loving affection that fell over me. I was acutely aware of how dear this person was to me. Azuya. My Azuya. I would stick by her side for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of years. We would be together forever. That was a promise. As I immersed myself into that romantic atmosphere, the closet door slid open with a bang. Whoa! Hey, Zenovia, take a look! Irina, garbed in her sleepwear and with her hair hanging loose, was staring right at us. What is it, Irina? Azuya's precious kiss scene. So this was what you meant when you said that you wanted to have some fun. I'm impressed, Azuya. Zenovia was similarly dressed in nighttime attire. Azuya and I had smooched right in front of them. How could this happen? Why? What allowed them to sneak in without a sound? Sure, Azuya did say that they would be coming by soon, but still, I had let down my guard. The mood had swept me away, and these two had struck during that opening. They had seen us. These two had borne witness to Azuya and me kissing. Naturally, we hurried to pull our lips apart. Damn it, a string of saliva connected to us both. We had been about to use our tongues too. Looks to me like this isn't their first time. Azuya is always getting one up on me. She's so daring and quick to strike. Zenovia and Irina were discussing their discovery with obvious interest, so much so that their cheeks had changed color. That sound, it was like an explosion. Azuya's face had turned scarlet. Azuya was so flustered that her eyes started swirling around. A moment later, she fainted on the spot. Azuya, hey, Azuya, hang in there. I'm embarrassed too. I get that there's no one during this, but don't go passing out on me. Sorry for the intrusion, but I'll be joining. Yeah, me too. As I tended to Azuya, Zenovia and Irina made the baffling decision to join us in the closet. Not only that, they slid the door shut behind them so quietly. Sorry, we came by here to enjoy ourselves a little, but it looked like you weren't in, so I opened the closet. Zenobia explained plainly without the slightest hint of remorse. My room was only supposed to be used in case of emergency. However, this was rapidly becoming an urgent situation in its own way. Zenobia approached me from one side. What is it? I asked uncertainly. It's my turn after Azia, she answered nonchalantly. You can kiss me or do something sexual, and then Irina can have a turn. What? How exactly did it come to this? Uh-huh? Me? No way. Irina's eyes all but popped out of their sockets. This is your chance to discover what it's like being with a guy, Irina. It looked like the angel had been caught in a situation that she hadn't anticipated. I knew the feeling. You realize I'll become a fallen angel, right? Just throw yourself all in and go with the flow. Who knows? You might not fall. But throw myself all in? Yes, with the right spirit. But if I were to get involved with something like that, as Lord Michael's ace, Irina continued mumbling to herself, as though in the middle of a mental struggle. Issei's a steal. Zenobia pressed her advantage. He's a good guy, and he's the Red Dragon Emperor. Think about it. If you were able to have a kid with the Red Dragon Emperor, wouldn't that be a huge asset as far as Heaven's fighting potential is concerned? A child with Issei, the Red Dragon Emperor, Heaven's fighting potential. Irina was seriously considering the suggestion. This was swiftly becoming a pretty significant chance for me. Alright, how about this? We've got 3 girls and 1 guy in close quarters. What happens next is only natural. Hey, Zenobia, what about the teachers outside? Right, contact between boys and girls were expressly prohibited. After all, there was no telling what might happen if they were to spend the night in the same room together. The boys' and girls' rooms were on separate floors, and the teachers were keeping a close eye on all the comings and goings. Even the hours we had freed before bedtime, they were checking on everyone from room to room. We would be in trouble if someone walked in on us. You mean the male teachers? We've already used our angel and demonic powers to construct a barrier. They won't notice anything, so don't worry. We could be as loud as we want and no one would hear. I don't know how all of it works, but this room is filled with sacred and demonic magic. Zenobia and Irina were both giving me a thumbs up. How could they be so reckless? How could this churchman duo be so insanely strong, yet so utterly out of their minds? I had no idea what to do, but Zenobia sure did. She crawled right for me. Alright, how about we start with a kiss? For some reason, her lips seemed particularly sensual today. Maybe that was because I had just been kissing Azia, and my heart was still racing. Huh? You're going to kiss him already, Zenobia? Irina looked as though she still hadn't made up her mind about this. Yep. This is practice for making a baby with him. Didn't Kiryu mention something about that? About making the most of our school trip? Kiryu! That perverted craftswoman. Didn't I tell her not to fill everyone's head with weird ideas? Still, I owed her big time. If things kept moving along like this, I might actually be able to have some real naughty fun with Zenobia. Right. This is an important event, but I'm an angel and a servant of Michael, and a Christian too. I'm not supposed to... Just watch then. I'll make a baby while an angel watches over me. It kind of feels like making a kid chosen by heaven, don't you think? Irina, stand guard while I'm making an important demon baby. I'd appreciate a holy blessing as well if you can. With that, Zenobia began to strip naked. I could see more of her beautiful skin with each piece of clothing removed. I couldn't resist those perfectly toned curves. Demons like us could see in the dark, so nothing was left to the imagination. Irina, for her part, unfurled her angelic wings as a halo appeared above her head. The strength of the light further intensified the heated atmosphere. The heavenly ability of hers sure was convenient. Leave it to me. I've always wanted to witness the mystery of life's creation, just as Lord Gabriel did. Ah, this is a crucial moment for the three great powers, for heaven, and for our faith in the Lord himself. An angel was praying while two demons were about to get it on. What kind of sex scene was this? Zenobia unhooked her bra. Blood gushed from my nose. Damn, if they weren't incredible to behold. Zenobia took no notice to Azia, who was still stunned, as she embraced me in her arms. The tactile sensation of those breasts coursed through my body. Their incredible softness paralyzed my brain. This is our chance. Once Azia wakes up, hug her like this too. It would be her first time as well, so she probably wouldn't know what to do. You can learn the ropes with me, okay? Then, put that knowledge to use with Azia. That's the best way to look out for her. Zenobia, what a wonderful spirit of self-sacrifice, Irina remarked. What fresh madness was this? The next thing I knew, Zenobia began to remove my clothes, her fingers crawling all over my body. An electrifying chill shot through me. By its own accord, my hand was approaching her thighs. That even supple sensation made my thoughts run wild. A lustrous stream of words soon spilled off from Zenobia's lips. Yeah, it feels so good. A man's skin, your skin. Just touching it makes me feel like a woman. My nosebleed wouldn't stop. This girl could kill a guy with comments like that alone. Now that we come this far, I probably had no choice but to let it happen, right? Was I about to get up to something phenomenal in a closet with Zenobia and Azia? I swallowed deeply, did my best to calm my breathing, and then stretched out my arms to embrace Zenobia when... What am I... Azia woke up. She slowly sat upright, just as Zenobia and I were about to lie in each other's arms. Her eyes met mine, shooting wide. Oh, Azia, you're awake. I was about to receive Issei's genes. Zenobia stated far too casually. My genes? What a way to put it. Genes? Azia's voice turned shrill as she came to grips with the predicament. I'm just borrowing him for a short while. Don't worry, I won't keep him to myself. I don't think making a baby will require too many attempts. Zenobia, please, can't you speak more like a girl your age should? That's a weird way of describing this. No, Issei's... No, you can't. Azia puffed up her cheeks and her eyes went wet. Zenobia frowned, obviously frustrated. Just a little won't hurt, right? They launched into a full-on argument. That isn't the problem. If you want his genes, it means doing that with him. You can't. Sounds like you already know a lot about it, Azia. I'm guessing you realize that it isn't storks that deliver babies. Don't make fun of me. I understand how it works. If you're willing to go this far, then I'm going to be honest with what I want as well. Azia wrapped her arms around me and loudly declared, I'll have Issei's child. Zenobia, Irina, and I were left stunned by this dramatic proclamation. Azia had even begun to take off her nightgown, revealing her snow-white skin. My nosebleed intensified in response. And why wouldn't it? Hearing Azia say that she wanted to have a child with me. I could feel my face redding to realms beyond the possible. Wow, a contest between two women over a man's genes. Amazing. Irina was watching this all unfold with enthusiasm. Cut it out. You're supposed to be an angel, aren't you? Issei, we're going to be together forever, so isn't it natural to want a child? Zia asked me. I didn't know what to think anymore. All I could manage was... I guess so. I suppose that's... right. Did you hear that, Zenobia? I'm going to have Issei's babies. Lots and lots of babies. Zenobia took hold of my arm, hugging it to her breast. No, you gotta give me at least one round of genes. I want a child too. I'm a woman and I want a baby. I want to raise a child of my own. Oh man, things were really straying into the unexpected territory. Sure, I liked the situation just fine, but it felt curiously suffocating. This closet was stifling, and I could hardly breathe. It was almost like how the Prez, Asia, Akano, and Konako had fought over me in the room the night before the school trip. I couldn't understand these girls. Zenobia and Asia glared at each other. I managed to wriggle free from their embrace. Unfortunately, I also bashed my head against the shelf above as I made my escape. Ow. I tried to adjust my position after bumping my dome. However, the closet was too cramped and I quickly lost my balance. My hand pressed against a wonderfully soft sensation. Issei? I watched as Irina's face turned scarlet. She had toppled over and I was leaning right on top of her. To any outside observer, it would appear that I pushed her down. What's more, her nightgown had slipped open, revealing her glorious round white breasts. They were so huge, incredible. So these were the tits of an angel, and her nipples were so tender and plump. Hold on, my hand was already following one of them entirely on its own accord. This had all been an accident caused by how narrow the closet space was. Irina's breast was simultaneously supple and firm. My hand seemed to sink naturally into it. It was breathtakingly elastic, like freshly cooked rice cake. Damn, this squishy, seductive sensation rivaled even Akano's. Irina... Her angel wings were flickering between white and dark again. Was she on the verge of falling from heaven? This is my first time. I don't know what to do, Issei. You want me to become a fallen angel, right? Irina's expression was one of uncharacteristic feminine charm. This wouldn't do. When the usually innocent and pure Irina looked at me like this, the Power Ranger within me would run rampant. And with their hair hanging loose, the destructive potential of her eroticism soared to new heights. Sorry. While removing my hand, I tried to apologize. And that's when I struck my head on the shelf once more. Ow. The impact sent me falling back down again. Naturally, Irina's breasts were waiting for me, my face pressed up against this sublime feeling of elasticity, and they were so large, soft and spongy. Was this what an angel's embrace was supposed to feel like? My vision was growing blurry, and I felt my consciousness slipping. I must have taken one too many to the skull, or maybe it was the blood loss through my nose. Issei, are you okay? Issei! Hey, you can't let yourself get knocked out the first time you hold Irina. I'm going to fall. Oh, Lord, please forgive my sins. The voices of the three girls faded into the distance. When the church trio worked as a team, there was no withstanding them. The next morning, our group left the hotel and made our way to Kyoto Station. Ah, what a night. I felt like I was still dreaming. Last night had been one erotic experience after another with a church trio in my closet. I had been suffocating, and at the same time, I had been so ecstatic that I could have died. After passing out from so much blood loss and hitting my head more times than I should have, I woke on my futon in my room this morning. Apparently, Rosvice had come to check on us shortly after all that and sent the others back to their rooms while she took care of me. I owed her one. Man, Asia's sudden declaration last night genuinely astonished me. I was glad to hear that she wanted to have a child with me. Honestly, I was totally moved. Yet, my feelings remained a bit complicated. Every time something like that happened, when the crucial moment was at hand, I always found myself lacking. I was fully aware of this problem. Unfortunately, I still couldn't propel myself forward. Maybe the shackles of a broken heart was holding me back. Whenever I considered advancing to the next stage, I grew afraid that the girls would end up hating me, and I faltered. My life was at an all-time high right now, and I didn't want to do anything that might jeopardize it. But if things persisted as they were, I would never become the harem king. Truly, this was an incredible dilemma. At this rate, my relationship with the Prez would forever remain out of reach. Maybe that was fine. After all, I was her. Then again, I wanted the courage to make a move if the chance to embark on the next step presented itself. And that's when I remembered our upcoming match. If I could beat Org, maybe the president I could. Hey, Issei, what's with the glum face? Matsuda asked, peering into my eyes. It's nothing. Anyway, what's with your face? And Motohama's too. Well, about that. Wounds of honor. They were both bruised and battered, and covered in bandages to boot. Apparently, they made their way to the fabled peeking spot, looking in the women's bathroom area. However, the student council, the Seichi Familia, had been waiting there for them. Matsuda and Motohama had tried to force their way in anyhow, though hence their injuries. They didn't stand a chance against the girls from the Seichi Familia. Actually, the student council had been suspicious of me as well. Fortunately, since Rosvice checked on me in my room, I had a strong alibi. Still, Rosvice had summoned the 3 members of our church trio, and me this morning for stern lecturing. She was like a dependable elder sister to us all, enough so that I regretted having caused her all of this trouble. Why did I have to fall under suspicion because those 2 idiot friends of mine acted on their own? Perhaps that was only natural. We were known as the perverted trio, after all. Given my usual obsession with all things lewd and obscene, it was understandable that no one trusted me. Anyway, that's enough of that topic. Our plan today was to keep sightseeing. Our mission was to conquer Arashiyama. First step, Tenuryuji, the Temple of the Heavenly Dragon. How far away is Tenuryuji? I asked. Kiryu looked over our schedule before responding. We'll take the train to Arashiyama and get off at the nearest station. From there, we'll go the rest of the way on foot. Got it. So we're heading to Kyoto Station. I guess the press was right. We really do have to take buses and trains to get everywhere. Isn't that what it means to be a tourist? Matsuda replied. He had a point. At Kyoto Station, we boarded the train bound for Arashiyama and began our journey to today's destination. This must be it. Alighting from the train, we continued towards Tenuryuji on foot. There were plenty of signs, so there was no chance of getting lost. After a while, we arrived at the elegant traditional gate. So, this is the Temple of the Heavenly Dragon. Does this name have any special meaning?
Beats me. Maybe we did battle in Kyoto in the past. I can't really remember.
Drake's memory seemed a little fuzzy on the details. If he had fought here, it must have taken place ages ago. This place definitely looked very different, so I couldn't fault him for not recalling it perfectly. Our tour group passed through the towering gate and paid the entrance fee at the booth. Ah, you arrived, came a familiar young voice. I glanced around, spotting a blonde-haired girl in a shrine maiding outfit. Kuno? Yes, I'm here to show you around Arashiyama, as promised. She had elected to conceal her beast ears and tail today, seeing as we were intermingling with normal people. Matsuda and Motohama were astonished by the sight of this small, blonde-haired girl calling us out. Whoa, look how cute she is. Hey, Issei, what's the deal? You hitting on kids now? Curse that rude, bald-headed buddy of mine. He had no idea what we had gone through yesterday. Motohama, on the other hand, so petite, so adorable. He was suddenly huffing and puffing. I forgot. This guy really loved petite figures. Seriously, Kuno ticked all of Motohama's boxes. His glasses were glimmering dangerously. However, another person threw him to one side, embracing Kuno. It was Kiryu. Wow, she's adorable. Hiono, where did you meet this girl? Kiryu was rubbing her cheek against Kuno's. Did she have a special fondness for kids? Let go of me. Stop acting so familiar, you lowly slip. Kuno clearly wasn't enjoying this, but that didn't dampen Kiryu's spirits. She even talks like an annoyed little princess. How wonderful. What a perfect character act. The glasses-wearing high schooler was hopeless. Letting out a sigh, I pulled Kiryu away and began to explain. This is Kuno. We met the other day. Yes, my name is Kuno. It's a pleasure to meet you. The fox spirit conducted herself with her usual dignity, as befitted of a real-life princess. Yet, at the same time, she came across as standoffish. Ah, is she a friend of Ria's Grimory? I did hear something about that hotel that we were staying at being connected to Ria's parents' business. Right, something like that. Kiryu's habit of jumping to hasty conclusions was working perfectly in our favor for once. I wouldn't have to try to justify too much. With Kuno's introduction out of the way, I decided to push on to the next matter. Well then, Kuno, if you're going to be our tour guide, where should we go first? I asked. Kuno puffed her chest out, answering confidently. I'll accompany you to all the famous sites. Huh? I suppose I should be grateful. In a way, it was kind of a cultural exchange after all. Would you show us around Tenuryuji then? Of course. Kuno responded with a buoyant and glowing smile. And so, Kuno led us through the Temple of the Heavenly Dragon, confidently and charmingly relating all the stories and knowledge that she had been taught. It was heartwarming to see her working so hard to introduce Kyoto to us. The Japanese-style garden behind the abbot's quarters was a sight to behold. It was laid out in a enthralling fall pattern and set against the backdrop of the autumn-colored mountains. The carp swimming in the pond were the final touch, perfectly completing the scene. The scenery here is beautiful. It's a wonderful heritage site after all, Kuno stated. A World Heritage Site? Awesome. So that's why it's so inspiring. I have to take some pictures. After viewing the garden, we headed into the temple hall. I glanced up at the ceiling and saw a painting of an overwhelmingly powerful dragon staring down at me in its formidable gaze. It was an eastern dragon with a long, slender body. That painting is called Tenuryuji, the cloud dragon. No matter where you stand, it would look like it's staring right at you. Kuno was right. We moved here and there, but the dragon's eyes seemed locked onto us. It really was amazing. Hey, Dre, are all Eastern dragons like this?
Indeed. For the most part, it reminds me of Yulong, one of the Dragon Kings.
So Yulong was similar. Unlike Western dragons, Eastern ones gave off a more sacred vibe than a scary one. The word Ryujin, dragon god, was certainly appropriate here, but it seemed like it was more to it than that. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to take photos of the painting. After finishing our exploration of the temple grounds, it was time to move on. Alright, Kuno, where to next? I inquired. The fox girl looked excited as she pointed in one direction, then another. Nisanin Temple, the Bamboo Path, Jojakoji Temple. I'll show you around all of them. When filled with such zeal, she acted like a typical girl her age. And so, this young princess leading the way, we continued to explore the sights Arashiyama had to offer.
We've been to so many places,
Matsuda said, breathing a deep sigh. Per Kuno's suggestion, we were enjoying lunch at a boiled tofu restaurant. After visiting Tenuryuji, Kuno had taken all of us around Arashiyama. We had seen the statues of Buddhas, Shakyamuni, and Amitabha at Nisanin Temple, and taken a rickshaw ride through the bamboo groves. The sound of the winds blowing through the groves of bamboo had been nothing short of refreshing. This had been my first time riding in a rickshaw, and it was fun. The man pulling it explained the various tourist sites as we journeyed through the autumn scenery of Arashiyama. I was glad that we came here during fall. See? The boiled tofu here is exquisite. Kuno scooped one piece from the pot in the center of the table and dropped it into her bowl. She was clearly enjoying herself. This was likely her genuine smile, the sort that she showed every day, which made it all the more heartbreaking that she had been reduced to begging us for help to save her mother. I wish there was something that we could do to bring Yasuka back sooner. I tried the boiled tofu Kuno handed me. What a delicious Kyoto specialty. This tofu was even better than what we had eaten at the hotel. I heard that the fresh tofu here was the best, so it probably hadn't been long since they had been prepared. It's a very Japanese taste. Not bad. Yes, It's different from the usual tofu, fresher and more flavorful. Tofu here is delicious. Zenobia, Ozzy, and Aaron all look satisfied too. By accident, Erin's gaze met mine. She was blushing. Every time I glanced her way today, she ended up like this. It must have been because of what happened last night. That made sense. It must have been a major incident for an angel and a faithful adherent of the church. She likely felt defiled after I touched her peer breasts. My hands could still feel the lingering sensations. They had been so supple and elastic, all but sticking to my fingers as they sunk in. The one word that came to mind to describe that chest was angelic. Angelic breasts. It sounded like a brand name. Oh, hey, Issei. A voice called out to me abruptly. Uh-huh. Kiba? Right. You guys plan on coming to Arashiyama today too, huh? Kiba and his group was eating lunch at the table beside ours. Yeah. Did you go to Tenuryuji? Sure did. The pictures of the dragons there was really something. We're headed over there later, after seeing Togetsukiyo Bridge. I'm looking forward to it. Togetsukiyo Bridge. That was where we were going after lunch. While I spoke with Kiba, another familiar voice entered the discussion. Autumn in Arashiyama. It lives up to its idyllic reputation. Have you all been enjoying your fill of the place? It was Azazel. He had been sipping sake, even though it was only still noon. Teach, I didn't know that you were coming here. And should you be drinking in the middle of the day? I was thinking the same thing, replied Frostface, sitting across from Azazel. No matter how many times I tell him, he won't stop drinking. I've explained repeatedly that this kind of behavior is inappropriate in front of the students. Frostface was so angry that I could literally see her veins on her forehead throbbing. Come on, don't say that. I'm just taking a break after investigating Arashiyama area. Did that mean he'd been looking into the Chaos Brigade's activities? Honestly, Frostface, you gotta learn to loosen up a bit. This is why you can't get a boyfriend, you know. In response to Azazel's remark, Frostface slammed her face, which was now bright red, into the table. Whether or not I have a boyfriend has nothing to do with this. Stop treating me like a fool. If you're allowed to drink, then I will too. Whoa, she snatched away Azazel's cup and began to gulp it down. She drained the whole glass without even pausing. Yeah, just so you know, you've always got this attitude. You're is she drunk? That quickly? She's already slurring her words. You're tipsy from one glass? Azazel questioned, obviously astonished. Frostface poured herself another cup, emptying it in an instant. Then, fixing Azazel within her sights, she began to lay into him. I'm not drunk, you. Do you know how many times I had to join that old dotard Odin when he went out for drinks? Huh? Hey, that reminds me. I put all the effort into trying to take care of him, and what do I have to show for it, huh? He's always talking up the ladies or going out for more booze. Completely shameless. And he calls himself a god. Bah. And all the other Valkyries in Valhalla kept calling me his nursemaid. Why do I have to take care of him like that? Why? And for that salary? Give me a break. It's all his fault. It's his fault I don't have a boyfriend. His. She broke down into tears. Not even Azazel knew how to respond. Azazel scratched his cheek before eventually saying, I get it. Just let it all out, alright? I'll listen. At this, Frostface's face lit up. Really? I had no idea. Maybe there is something good in you. Hey, we need another bottle of sake over here. She could still drink? This wasn't good. I had no idea Frostface had such a bad drinking habit. Hey, you guys, get out of here as soon as you're finished. I'll take care of this. And Zazel instructed with a resigned exhale. I exchanged glances with the other second-year students, and we all agreed to do as he advised. We rushed to finish our meals and filed out of the restaurant. Yep, There's no beating 100 yen shops. Ricefuss's drunken cackle sounded out of backs as we left. The shop let out right in front of Tegetsukiyo Bridge. I wasn't expecting that from Ricefuss. Yeah, who would have guessed that she would have ended up like that after having a bit to drink? Matsuda and Motohama were clearly taken aback. Given Ricefuss's popularity with their students, boys and girls alike, it must have been astonishing for them to see her like that. Heck, I was shocked too. Ricefuss might be young, but I'm guessing that she had a hard life. I'm not surprised she wants to vent, considering she's stuck with him, Kiryu said, nodding with obvious sympathy. Seizo wasn't the only person stressing over poor Ricefuss, though. Her former employer had a perverted old lecher. Plus, it sounded as though she had been treated poorly since becoming Odin's attendant. That woman had endured quite a bit. Is life always difficult in your master's familia? Kuno asked me. Little, was all I could manage in response. There was a lot of good people in Ria's Grammy's familia, but we all had strong quirks and peculiarities. That was enough about worrying about Ricefuss. Our next stop was to get to Kyoto Bridge. Having left the restaurant, we strolled through the tourist area for a few minutes until reaching Katsura River. So that long traditional wooden bridge that exudes historical significance is to Getsukiyo? The mountain scenery behind it was superb. The slopes were covered in red, yellows, and greens, a perfect autumn display. People say that you shouldn't glance over your shoulder while crossing to Getsukiyo, Kiryu commented. Oh, why is that? Azia asked. Well, Azia, if you do, heaven will reclaim all the wisdom and intelligence it bestowed upon you. If that were to happen to our perverted trio, everything would be over for them. They would be nothing but a bunch of genuine idiots. Shut up! Matsuda, Motohama, and I responded in unison. Kiryu went on, unbothered by our interjection. Oh, and one more thing. Another legend claims that you'll be separated from your lover if you turn around. It sounds like a childish jinx, though, so... I won't look back. I won't. Azia exclaimed, tearfully grabbing hold of my arm. It's alright, Azia. It's only a story, I assured her. My words had little effect, however, as Azia shook her head and gripped me tight. I won't look it back. She's so cute, my adorable Azia. Ah, this is bliss. And so we stepped foot onto Getsukiyo, spotted Kiba's group up ahead. All the while, Azia stubbornly kept her gaze fixed straight forward. Damn, would you look at that? Issei and Azia are a pair of lovers. It's a real shame, but look at them. They've turned into blind, lovey-dovey fools. Matsuda and Motohama were gossiping about us behind our backs, calling us lovey-dovey fools. I wanted to punch the two, but I restrained myself. If I turned around, I would make Azia cry. I don't think that you have to worry about it. That story about breaking up with a lover is just a rumor, Kuno said. Be that as it may, Azia tended to take these things to heart. We safely made it to the other side, and Azia let out a deep sigh, obviously relieved. Hadn't she realized that we'd have to cross it again to go back? Her ordeal wasn't over yet. Now then, how were we going to tackle this side of the river? Just as I began to take in the scenery around me, a warm, slithery sensation washed over my body from seemingly nowhere. What was that just now? I glanced around, suspicious, and realized that the only people standing around me were Azia, Zenobia, Irina, and Kuno. Kiba was there too, a short distance away. Matsuda, Motohama, Kiryu, and all the other tourists had vanished. What was going on here? The others were just as shocked as me at this bizarre development, and they readied themselves. We surveyed our surroundings with wary gaze, yet there was no sign of suspicious entities. After a while, a fog-like substance began to rise around our feet. This mist! Azia tensed when she saw the vapor. There's no mistaking this feeling. When Diodora kidnapped me, The device he chained me to in that temple gave off a fog like this. Dimension lost, Kiba said as he approached. One of the god-killing Longinuses. Zazel and Diodori mentioned it, right? This is likely the dimension lost is doing again. So saying, he knelt down, reaching out to touch the mist with one hand. A Longinus, a sacred gear like mine or Volley's. Was this the cause of this weirdness? Are you all okay? Came a voice up in the sky. Glancing upwards, I spied Azazel soaring above, retracting his black wings as he stepped onto the ground. Everything's vanished save for us. We've probably been transported to an alternate dimension of some sort and sealed inside. Judging by all this, it's probably a replica of the area around Togetsukiyo Bridge. Seriously? There have been no indication that we've been transported anywhere. Although I had felt a strange, slightly warm sensation. That must have been it. Is this like some kind of place used in the raining games? I questioned. Azazel had just suggested as much, but this definitely didn't resemble any kind of alternate dimensions I was accustomed to. Someone must have leaked the special techniques used by the three great powers. This all looks like it was made from the same way as your battlegrounds. So, the power of the mist is capable of transferring people to a trance field, is it? I guess Dimension Lost can move anything its fog touches. Bringing me and Rias' familiar here all in one go. Longinus is scary stuff, eh? Azazel remarked. This was beginning to make sense. What we saw here was an application of the same technique employed to construct raiding games arenas. The quality of this reproduction was certainly on par with what demons produced. Kuno's voice trembled as she spoke beside me. I told you that we found my mother's bodyguard here on the verge of death. He was surrounded by mist too. In that case, this phenomenon and the individuals responsible for creating it was undoubtedly... Evidently, my hunch was right on the mark. I detected several presences approaching from directions of Togetsukiyo Bridge, slowly emerging from the vapor. Greetings, Governor Azazel, and the Red Dragon Emperor too. And the Red Dragon Emperor too, I see. The one addressing us was a black-haired youth, dressed in a piece of traditional Chinese clothing draped over a school uniform. It was a Chinese robe, right? I learned a little about Chinese clothing from my knowledgeable history teacher in middle school. It looked like some kind of national folk attire. The guy held a spear in his hand, and that weapon gave off an uncanny aura. It was clearly no ordinary polearm. He looked young, maybe a year or two older than me, but then it was impossible to really tell from his appearance alone. His companions were similarly garbed in school uniforms. They were all young men and women, likely around the same age as us. The hot sense of pressure radiated from them, an atmosphere different from the sort that demons and dragons gave off. Azazel stepped forward. You're the guys in charge of the so-called hero faction, I take it? The guy at the center of the group looked over his shoulder before answering. I'm known as Cao Cao. I'm descendant of the famed Cao Cao of the Three Kingdoms period, more or less. Cao Cao? Oh, hold on. The Three Kingdoms period? Completely taken aback by this, I turned to Azazel. Teach, is he... The governor of the fallen angels allowed his gaze to drift from our enemies. Listen up, everyone. Watch out for that guy's spear. That's a true Longinus, the strongest of them all. It's supposedly powerful enough to slay a god. It's been a long time since I last saw it. And in the intervening time, it's apparently falling into the hands of a terrorist. Azazel's words threw us into a panic. We were shocked more by Cao Cao's weapon than the man himself. So, that's the Holy Spear, feared by the Seraphim of Heaven. Irna was trending tremendously. I learned a lot about it as a kid, Zenovi remarked in a low voice. The spear that pierced Jesus, drenched in his blood, the most absolute of weapons, used to kill God. It was that powerful? The press might have mentioned something about the fabled spear used to stab Jesus once before. Come to think of it, that thing was intrinsically tied to the roots of Irina and Zenovia's religion. From the viewpoint of the church, It probably wasn't an exaggeration to consider that thing a top-tier item. That's the holy spear? As he stared at the weapon from behind me, mesmerized, as though it was somehow drawing her consciousness to it. Azazel hurried to cover her face with his hands. Azia, that thing's dangerous to true believers. It may rob you of your sanity if you gaze at it. After all, it's a holy relic, just like the True Cross, the Holy Grail, the Shroud of Turin, and the Holy Nails. You! I have something to say to you! Kuno screamed at Cao Cao. Is that right, Your Highness? Please, don't hold back. I'll answer your questions. Cao Cao's voice might have seemed calm, but it was clear from his tone that he knew something. Are you the ones who kidnapped my mother? Indeed, he admitted plainly. So, I was right. It was him. What are you doing to her? We require cooperation for a little experiment of ours. An experiment? What are you plotting? It's all to fulfill our benefactor's wishes. At least, that's the official stance. Kuno bared her teeth in evident rage. There was tears in her eyes. She was clearly frustrated, yet at the same time at a total loss. Not only had her mother been abducted, but the perpetrators were also planning to use her as some kind of test. Your sponsor, you mean Ophis? What brought you to Kyoto? Azazel demanded. There's no need for us to keep in the shadows anymore, so I thought we might meet in person for a little game. I've waited a long time to meet you, Governor Azazel. I've heard a lot about you too, Red Dragon Emperor. That bastard sure was getting on my nerves. Oh, hold on. Am I really that famous? I guess I had defeated a leader of the old demon regime after triggering my Juggernaut drive. Admittedly, I didn't remember doing it though. Azazel conjured a spear of light in his hands. Let's keep this simple. Return the Nine-Tailed Fox matriarch. We're trying to forge an alliance with the spirits here. Seeing Azazel brace himself, we all similarly readied ourselves for combat. I activated my gauntlet and started the countdown from my balance breaker. Zenovia! I called out, passing her Ascalon. Thanks! She replied, accepting the weapon and taking a battle stance. It was only then that I noticed Rosvice wasn't with us. Teach, where's Rosvice? I asked. Azazel sighed. She was transferred into this plane too, but she's still sleeping all that booze off in the restaurant. I placed a pretty sturdy barrier around her, so she should be safe. Well, she probably wouldn't be able to fight in that state, so perhaps that was for the best. Fortunately, it sounded like Azazel had been thorough when it came to looking out for her. Despite her sight preparing for a fight, our opponents didn't do anything. Were they that confident? Did they have a secret weapon at their disposal? The hero faction was supposed to be composed of humans armed with sacred gears, right? To tell you the truth, I wasn't looking forward to facing them. Sacred gears possessed all sorts of peculiar and unpredictable abilities. Anyone in their right mind would have been apprehensive. I had no intention of giving them an opening to attack, however. Cao Cao turned to a short-statured boy standing beside him. I'll let you handle these demons with your anti-monsters, Leonardo. The boy remained expressionless, only nodding. Following Cao Cao's command, an eerie shadow began to spread beneath Leonardo's feet. A cold, unsettling sensation ran down my back. Somehow, I felt as though some unspeakable horror was contained within that shadow. The darkness stretched out, covering the entirety of Tetsukiyo Bridge. Then it rose from the ground, gradually acquiring shape. Arms, legs, heads, even eyeballs, and gaping jaws all materialized. And there wasn't only one creature, there were tens, no, hundreds of them. The monsters emerged from the shadow with a chorus of ear-rending sounds. Or rather, maybe they had been created from it? The creatures were pitch black and stood upright on two legs, with burly, muscular bodies. Worse yet, they all possessed razor-sharp claws and bared, ferocious fangs. A group of them formed a line, marching towards us. Just what kind of power does this kid have? I gulped in spite of myself, astonished at what I was beholding. Annihilation Maker, Azazel muttered. Annihilation? Maker? Salsa broke into laughter at Zazel's comment. Very good. Yes. My friend here possesses another Longinus. Dangerous in a different way from my true Longinus, but incredibly deadly nonetheless. Longinus? So that kid possessed a god-destroying sacred gear too? Come on, this wasn't fair. Since when did this become a Longinus smorgasbord? All I really knew about those weapons was that Volley and I each possessed one. But now they were popping up one after another. It was enough to make my head spin. At that moment, my countdown reached its end, and I activated my balance breaker. Red aura enveloped me, solidifying into a set of armor. Now I would be ready to fight, and yet... Teach, I'm finding this a little difficult to follow, I whispered. That boy has a Longinus just like you. We confirmed an existence of 13 of them so far. We're working with a few of them with the Grigori. Anyway, out of all of them, the properties of those the hero faction has are head and shoulders more fatal than the boosted gear or divine dividing. You mean they're stronger than me? In terms of raw power, you and Volley are leagues beyond. However, in terms of ability, you know how Kiba's sword birth can create all those demon swords, right? Yeah? The Annihilation Maker is similar. It manufactures all sorts of monsters. For example, it could form those massive fire-breathing creatures you see in movies. The ones more than 100 meters tall. The power to birth monsters through pure imagination. Can't think of much worse than that, eh? That's what it's capable of. Depending on the user, it can be used to construct those things in mass. I'm talking dozens, even hundreds at a time. It's one of the worst bugs imaginable in a Sacred Gear system, right up there with Dimension Lost. Just so you know, Dimension Lost can also be extremely hazardous, depending on the skills of its wielder. Were its mist to extend across the entire country, it could hurl a nation and all of its people into a void. That was... well, frankly, I didn't know what to think. Those Sacred Gears sound like world-class trouble, I exclaimed. Luckily, none of them have reached that level yet. There have been a few close calls, though. Still, the true Longinus, the Dimension Lost, and the Annihilation Maker. It's unprecedented for 3 of the 4 top-tier Longinuses to be assembled in one place. The vessel of those Sacred Gears should have been under surveillance by either heaven or the underworld from birth. Guess we let our guard down these past few decades. Or perhaps someone deliberately hid them. Locating Longinus users used to be a heck of a lot easier. As you can imagine, they tend to stand out. Azazel's eyes fitted to me during that last sentence. Right. I was another one of those cases. Initially, my Sacred Gear had been branded dangerous, and I'd been marked for death. After that, the belief was that my power had been misjudged. But then, that was proven wrong when I displayed that I did possess massive strength. Was there a connection here? There must be some kind of casual relationship behind all this, Azazel said quietly. The first Longinuses were said to be errors in the Sacred Gear system, yet they all undergone incredible development that far exceeded our expectations. This is more than a hope than anything else, but watching you grow, Issei, it makes me think that all Longinuses have become new transformations. It's inexplicable. Are these genuinely bugs, or are they evolutions? Maybe those of us who have been researching and maintaining the system have been too naive. That goes for me just as much as Michael and Suzek's. Azazel was practically monologuing to himself now. Still, wasn't a Sacred Gear capable of producing that many monsters on a whim a little unfair? And it was said to be even more dangerous than my own Sacred Gear. Plus, if that Leonardo kid was good enough, he could create something on a level of a Dragon King like Tanin, or that monstrous wolf Fenrir. That Sacred Gear was annihilation, alright? It sounded like it could destroy an entire world. What are their weaknesses, Teach? I inquired. If the boosted gear and divine dividing had shortcomings, these Longinus had to have them too, right? Aim for the vessel's body. The user might be strong too, but they won't be as bad as the Sacred Gear. The Annihilation Maker's vessel is still developing. The Chaos Brigade would have sent legions of monsters against the three great powers, if he was capable of it. So, now's our chance to defeat him before he reaches that level. Right, aim for the user. Leonardo didn't look particularly strong, so perhaps he was in the midst of honing his Sacred Gear abilities. Cao, having overheard all of that, scoffed. Dear me, so you've worked the Annihilation Maker out, have you? Right on all of the counts, Governor. My young friend has yet to completely develop his imagination and potential. However, he does excel in one area, creating anti-monsters. These creatures here are all specially designed to fight demons. He waved a hand towards a horde of creatures and one of them opened its mouth wide. It fired a beam of light. The next instant, a nearby store was engulfed in a tremendous explosion. That light attack! It can't be! Cecil cried out. Cao, you bastard! You sent all those infiltrators and assassins against us just to collect data to complete those anti-monsters. Wow, you're half right. There were shadowy companions among those Sacred Gear users, no? So, that was it. Those fighters that had collapsed in the mist when injured. My young friend created those monsters. We sent them against the angels, fallen angels, demons, dragons, and the gods of various religion pantheons to gather valuable information for my friend's Sacred Gear. We learned a lot. It really was about collecting data. Our goal was twofold: to increase our stock of balance breaker users and develop these anti-monsters. Our efforts produced soldiers specialized in fighting demons, angels, and dragons. The ones designed to fight demons could wield light comparable to that used by a mid-ranking angel. Then, that attack a while ago had been intended to push more Sacred Gear users to unlock their balance breakers, while also gathering intelligence required to make these anti-monsters. Was Cao trying to show off how well prepared the Chaos Brigade was? This guy was a real pain. Azazel glared at enemies in contempt, but snorting in laughter. Cao, what you're saying is that you've yet to create any god-killing monsters. Cao said nothing to refute this accusation. How did you figure that out? I asked. If they could slay a god, they would have. Azazel responded with a grin. And then they'd deploy those creatures against us. There's no reason why someone capable of attacking multiple other powers simultaneously wouldn't do so at their first opportunity. There's no telling what effect it would have on the world if they slew the deities of every religion. I guess it's fortunate they haven't manufactured a monster capable of doing that yet. It might only be a small detail, but it's valuable info. Oh, I get it. They don't have any anti-god monsters. But that reminds me of something. An image of a massive wolf flashed in the back of my mind. Cao pointed his spear my way. Any gods I want to slay, I could do so with this. Now then, let this battle begin. That was the declaration of war. A horde of those anti-monsters charged towards us, letting out terrible growls. Kiba and Zenobia quickly readied themselves to meet them as their first line of defense. Kiba, sorry, but I need you to make me a holy sword. Got it. You're better off fighting with two blades after all. Kiba quickly forged a fresh blade, tossing it to Zenobia, who snatched it in the air, readying herself in a dual-bladed stance with Ascalon, and dived straight into the enemy ranks. She vanished a swath of those anti-monsters all at once, as expected of one of our powerful knights. The force of her offensive strike was unbelievable. Uh-oh. Another one of those anti-monsters opened his mouth, releasing a beam of light Zenobia's way. The radiant bolt surged towards her, until Kiba intercepted it with his holy demon sword, reflecting it to a nearby building, which promptly collapsed into a pile of rubble. Against this level of light, we'll be fine if we don't suffer a direct hit. Our pretty boy Knight explained. Right on. With his breakneck speed, Kiba wouldn't have any problem dodging. We'll just have to take them all down before they can hit us. Zenobia responded as she carved through the horde of anti-monsters with her two holy swords. They were both knights, but they fought with distinct fighting styles. I guess I'll take you down then, So. Azazel said as he pulled out a gemstone, the one that contained the soul of the dragon Fafnir, and used the artificial sacred ear to produce a set of golden armor. 12 black wings unfurled from Azazel's back as he charged straight for Sao. I'm honored to think that I'm fighting the biblical governor of the fallen angels. Sao had lighted on the shore of the Katsura River, readying his spear with a fearless grin. At that moment, the tip of his spear spread open, releasing a scintillating golden aura, solidifying into a form of a blade. The moment the tip of the spear bloomed, the very air around us began to vibrate. What divine power, I thought. Just laying eyes on it was enough to make me recoil at the immense, suffocating pressure. To think that it could possess such a strong effect on someone with as little faith as me. Violent shockwaves erupted all around as Azazel's spear of light clashed against Sao's holy spear. The impact of the two weapons' collision caused the Katsura River to swell, with water rising over the Tagetsu-Kyo bridge and crashing like a violent rainfall. The two combatants exchanged blows while moving downstream. We could lead Sao to Azazel, but that meant that we would have to handle the rest. Our first priority was to assemble the defensive wall around Azia. As our healer, she was essential to our team. Normally, the Prez would be in command, with Akuno offering support and suppressing fire. Konoko would engage in a mix of offense and support, while Gasper would scout ahead and back us all up. Unfortunately, we would have to make do without them. Even Rosvice, who's special in magic offense, wasn't here to provide assistance. Azazel and Irina were super powerful offensive fighters, but we were still 5 core members short, leaving our team wholly unbalanced. We would need to think of a new battle plan. On top of that, we had to protect Kuno too. Here in Kyoto, her safety was more important than ours. We would definitely have to keep her close to Azia. Zenovia lunged forward into Vanguard. Think, damn it! This is no time to say I don't know or I can't. I need to act like a king. What would the Prez do? How would she respond to this situation? Think! I racked my brain trying to come up with an idea, and thankfully, I hit upon something. Zenovia, stick close to Azia and Kuno. Protect them. Use your holy aura to take care of any enemies that try to get close. Like that, I started handing out instructions. I know I'm not the Prez, Zenovia, but please hear me out. Got it! Yes, she was quick to respond, retreating to defend Azia. Come to think, what would the Prez do if she were here? We had fallen victim to a surprise attack, and were embroiled in real-life combat. It was up to us second-year students to find a way out of this. I pushed my insufficient smarts to the limit once more. Blood spurted from my nose from pondering so hard. Evidently, erotic thoughts weren't the only thing that could trigger a nosebleed. Our opponents were sending an army of anti-monsters designed to fight demons after us. We could try to deflect their attacks, but if one managed to connect, it would surely cause tremendous damage. Suddenly, I recalled Kiba's unique abilities. Kiba, you can make light-absorbing demon swords, right? I called. Yes, right. He understood what I was hinting at almost immediately. Way to go, Kiba. Several of the darkness-infused blades he wielded against Freed in our battle against Freynair appeared at his feet. He didn't waste a second before passing them around to the rest of us. In their inactive state, these swords are just hilts. You'll need to channel your demon powers into them to activate the blades. He instructed. Zenovia, if you're in trouble, use that as a shield to absorb any light attacks. Azia, I know you aren't used to fighting this way, but hold on to one of Kiba's swords. It's better than nothing. I hurriedly added. Got it, Issei? Zenovia responded. Okay. Azia added. Zenovia placed one of the inactive hilts in her pocket, ready in case of an emergency. I too received one of those weapons from Kiba. Hey, Dre, can my gauntlet absorb these things' powers?
There's a high chance it will reduce your life force if you try something excessive like that. But in this case, you might be able to pull it off, so long as you keep it brief. But don't overdo it.
That's fine. I'll plug it into my gauntlet where Ascalon is normally kept. So saying, I inserted the handle of the light-absorbing darkness blade into my gauntlet. Immediately, a dark shield emerged from it. Success! This should help me defend. Next up is our angel Irina. Irina, Sorry about this, but I need you to take Zenovia's place in the vanguard with Kiba. Being an angel, you aren't weak against light, are you? It might not be a weakness, but it could still hurt me. However, I suppose I am stronger than a demon here. Alright, I'll do it. I'm Lord Michael's ace after all. With a flap of her white wings, she leapt forward to take Zenovia's position. Summoning a sword of light, Irina plunged through the air, tearing into the line of anti-monsters until she found a gap in the formation and began to lay waste to them. My strategy might have been somewhat crude, but at least I've given orders to everyone. I haven't spent all that time by the President's side during battle for nothing. I was the only one left, and my place was in the center, between Kiba in the front and Ozzy in the back. Azia, I need to promote to bishop, I shouted. Okay. With Ozzy's permission, I took on the properties of a bishop, and my small reservoir of demonic magic swelled to new heights. I did this to concentrate my powers into volleys of dragon shots. I knew full well what my demonic powers were capable of, and it was time to put them to use. My attacks might have been clumsy and born from pure demonic energy, but in terms of raw power, they were nothing to sneeze at. Take this! Dragon shot! Bracing myself with my darkness shield, I hurled a barrage of medium-sized spheres of demonic power straight into the swarm of heroes and anti-monsters. The heroes were able to dodge, but I succeeded in annihilating a huge swath of anti-monsters. At the same time, my darkness shield absorbed all the enemy attacks coming my way. So far, so good. I similarly deflected a beam of light, arching for Kuno with another dragon shot. Kuno, fall back a little. Sorry. We would have a major issue on our hands if the Kyoto princess got injured. Zenobia loose tacked from behind, using her holy sword to launch destructive waves aimed at the anti-monsters. The shadowy creatures soon began to succumb to the assault coming from me and Zenobia. Nonetheless, the huge shadow stretching beneath the hero kid continued to birth more and more of those things. Damn it! There was no end in sight. Still, we couldn't give up. Producing those creatures en masse must have required considerable concentration and physical strength. He would tire out sooner or later. After all, he was just a kid. Those anti-monsters managed to score a blow every now and then, but Ozzy was quick to heal any wounded, so we weren't taking major casualties. She was, quite literally, our lifeline. Ozzy was the best. The heroes made no attempt to attack us themselves, merely evading our strikes and setting anti-monsters in. It was unsettling to watch. Were they planning to observe from the sidelines as their minions did all the dirty work? But at that moment, as I unleashed another dragon shot, several figures rushed towards me. They were all uniform-clad girls. Did the hero faction have its own uniform or something? We'll handle the Red Dragon Emperor. They were brandishing spears and swords as I closed in. Stop! Women can't hope to win against the Red Dragon Emperor, cautioned the slender white-haired guy with several swords sheathed at his waist. It was true. No girl could defeat me. I quickly concentrated my demonic energy, focusing it into my brain. This was one of the few techniques I had mastered. Breasts. Unburden yourself, boob lingual. I released my demonic energy towards the group of girls, and a mysterious space unfurled around me. I had activated my ability perfectly. Come, ye breasts. Tell me your secret intentions. The boobs began to respond in voices only Dragon I could hear. We're gonna confuse them with a feint, then attack together. Ah, so they were planning a coordinated attack. I'll take him from the right. So that one would attack from that direction. I'll charge him from the front. And that one was planning to approach me head on. Having heard their thoughts, I opened my eyes. Thank you for letting me read your breasts. I evaded every oncoming blow. Impossible! Did he foresee our movements? One of the girls cried out, clearly bewildered. As if. Our joint attack is supposed to be perfect. I flashed the flustered girls a dauntless grin. Oh, I foresaw them all right. Or rather, I spoke to them. Your breasts. Now take this. Dress break. I shouted. Yes. While dodging their attacks, I made sure to brush my fingers against each of their outfits. Boo-ha-ha! I rejoiced at the glorious sound of the garments being torn to shreds. He cursed our clothes, and now they're gone. The girls shrieked in alarm as they tried to conceal the naked bodies. They must have all been working out, as they all had wonderful proportions. I could feel another nosebleed coming on. They were so embarrassed that they quickly fled to a nearby building. Against the women, there was no stopping my fantasies. It felt wonderful to execute my perverted combos so effectively. Used together, my boob lingual and chest break techniques were unstoppable. What a foul technique. I've never seen something so terrible. Kuda was completely taken aback by my fighting style. Hearing a remark like that from the mouth of a child wounded my spirit a little. I thought as much, commented the slender man who'd given a warning earlier. It is nearly unthinkable for a woman to defeat the Red Dragon Emperor. She would need an iron will and the strength to fight without shame. A challenge indeed for any young lady. You are true to your name, Breast Dragon. Now I, too, have been born witness to your famed techniques. However, they are useless against a man. His calm analysis of what I just done was kind of embarrassing. Who would want to use them on a guy? I responded. Seriously, where was the fun in that? The man's lips curled into a smile, and he turned to his fellow heroes. Be careful, everyone. This is the Red Dragon Emperor. He may be the least talented individual to ever bear that title, but he's dangerous nonetheless. Unlike the others, he hasn't succumbed to his immense power. Rather, he's working to conquer it. There's nothing so terrifying as someone graced with power, and yet who doesn't fall to arrogance. Watch yourselves around him. Having to shoulder a compliment like that was pretty awkward. I've never heard that from an enemy before. This was truly a first. I suppose it wasn't praise exactly, more of a warning perhaps. The man tilted his head slightly to one side. Is that so? From my perspective, you're more dangerous than you realize, Red Dragon Emperor. As are your companions. And Volley too. Man, this was so weird. Just what was going on here? Sire Orc had expressed a high opinion of me as well, but hearing the same thing from terrorists, facing opponents who didn't look down on me was surprisingly difficult. Now then, I suppose it's my turn, the man remarked as he stepped forward, unsheathing a blade at his waist. It's a pleasure to meet you all, members of the Grimoire Familia. I'm Sig, a descendant of the hero Sigurd. My friends call me Sig Freed, but you can address me however you please. Zenobia must have seen something in Siegfried's face, for she looked surprised. I thought I recognized you. I guess I was right. Irina also nodded. Yes, it must be. Looking at all those demon swords he's carrying, there can be no doubt. What were they talking about? The only person he reminded me of was Free because of the white hair. Looking at Zenobia and Irina, I asked, What's wrong, you two? Do you know this white hair bad guy version of Kiba? White hair bad guy version of Kiba? That wasn't called for, Issei, responded the real Kiba. It was only an analogy. Zenobia was the one to answer. He's an exorcist, a former colleague of Irina and mine, and one of the strongest warriors out of all branches of the church, Catholics, Protestants, and Orthodox included, Chaos Edge Sieg. He was trained by the same organization as Freed. That's why they both got white hair. It's probably a side effect from an experiment. An exorcist? And related to the church? In other words, he was just like Freed. Even thinking about that guy made me ill. Sieg, have you turned your back on the church? Have you betrayed heaven? Irina cried out. Siegfried's lips curled into a grin. You can think of it that way, I guess. I belong to the Chaos Brigade now. At this, Irina's temper visibly flared. How could you? Forsaking the church and joining hands with the evil organization means eternal damnation. That stings. Zenobia grumbled, scratching her cheek. Although she was capable of wielding Durandal, she had decided to become a demon out of desperation. Sig Freed chuckled softly. I don't see it as a problem. With or without me, the church still possesses the strongest of warriors. He alone could make up for my absence in Zenovia's. Still, who would have expected him to be in the running to become a joker in the Brave Saint system? Alright, now that we introduce ourselves, how about we go at it? I'm eager to test myself against the famed Durandal wielding Zenobia, Archangel Michael's ace, Irin Ashido, and Yuto Kiba's holy demon swords. Sig Freed issued his challenge to our 3 sword fighters, all with connections to the church, while the blade of his hand emanated a powerful aura. That weapon was pulsating with an intimidating quantity of energy. Was it a demon sword? Something about it reminded me of one that Kiba created. Suddenly, Kiba lashed out with a holy demon sword at breakneck speed. Kiba's strike had little effect, however, for it was caught by Sig Freed's blade, its ominous aura unwavering. A strike from the holy demon sword is nothing to Garam, the demonic emperor's sword. It's most powerful of all demon swords, Sig Freed boasted. Kiba and Sig Freed pushed their locked weapons against each other. I couldn't remember when I had ever seen Kiba work to push back an opponent's sword. Both of the men broke their clash, adjusting their stances before engaging in a violent duel, each strike producing sparks. Is he equal with Kiba? No. Kiba was gradually losing ground. His expression was growing more tense by the second. His opponent was matching his incredible speed. Sig Freed could keep pace with the movements that were too swift for my eyes to follow. It was unbelievable. Even Kiba's feints to draw his opponent out and create an opening were ineffective. Sig Freed met every cut with minimum movement necessary, countering with his own weapon, leaving him incapable of countering. Despite possessing a balance breaker, he was being pushed back by his opponent. I was dumbfounded. One of the enemy heroes began to explain. They might have different groups, but in our organization, Arthur and his Holy King's sword and Siegfried and his demonic Emperor's sword are practically identical in ability. Yuto Kiba's Holy Demon swords are no contest. So, that Arthur guy was strong too? I suppose he had been toying with Fenrir during our climactic battle. But, in that case, could Kiba... I glanced his way in alarm, only found another companion entering the fray, Zenobia. She charged at Siegfried from the side, trying to assist Kiba. Zenobia? Kiba, you can't do this by yourself. You might not like it, but I'm gonna help. Thanks. Kiba had evidently set aside his pride as a swordsman, and he moved into a joint attack with Zenobia. Me too, Irna added. That made 3 against 1, with Zenobia grasping a blade in either hand. Kiba wielding a holy demon sword, and Irna, armed with a sword of light, the trio leaped into a simultaneous attack. The fight moved so fast I was unable to see the tips of their swords. Siegfried was now fending off 3 opponents all on his own. Kiba moved swiftly enough as he parried Siegfried's strikes that he appeared to be in several places at once. Zenobia lunged down from above, her holy swords wreathed with an incredible aura. Meanwhile, Irna glided through the air, thrusting her sword towards Siegfried from behind. It was an expertly honed combination assault. I felt certain of victory while I spectated. Yet, with the flick of his hand, Siegfried managed to block Irna's attack without needing to glance her way. At the same time, he drew another blade from its sheath at his hip with his free hand. A silver of argent light carved clean through one of Zenovia's blades as she brought it down. That was the holy sword Kiba had given her. It shattered like glass. Siegfried hadn't broken a sweat. Balmung, a legendary demon sword of North legend. And that was just 1 strike. Another demon sword. However, Kiba was thrusting straight for Siegfried's blind spot. He was trapped now. There could be no evading this. Both of that silver-haired guy's arms was already busy. With a horizontal slash, Kiba lashed out and... a metallic noise cut through the air. Kiba's holy sword had been blocked by a fresh blade that Siegfried had drawn from his waist. Nathung, another legendary demon sword. A third one. What was most astonishing of all, however, was that Sig Freed was already brandishing 2 other weapons. He shouldn't have been able to use another. Inexplicably, a third arm emerged from his back to grasp the new blade, parrying Kiba's attack. What the heck is that limb? It looked like it was covered in silver scales. There was an eerie similarity to when my arm took on its dragon form, and it was sticking out of Sig Freed's back. He grinned to see us taken aback. This arm, it's a twice critical. A pretty standard sacred gear, but mine's a little special. A subtype, if you will. I can form a dragon's arm on my back. A twice critical. I'd heard that term somewhere before. It was the kind of sacred gear that ranked lower than my boosted gear. As I recalled, it should have taken the shape of a gauntlet, though. Was that whole subtype thing the reason that it came out of his back? Sig Freed readied himself with a demon sword in either hand, and a third gripped by his extra limb. A triple-wielding fighting style. Kiba's expression tense at this revelation. We're both sacred gear users, yet, putting even his swords aside, I can't match the abilities of his sacred gear. Just so you know, I haven't activated my balance breaker, Sig Freed added. What a brutal announcement. I couldn't afford to forget that after all their experiments, these heroes had undoubtedly unlocked their balance breakers. But he'd fought Kiba, Zenobia, and Irina, the 3 of them fighting together at that, to a standstill in his normal state? Azazel lighted nearby during the battle. Cao, meanwhile, rejoined his hero comrades. Had they circled back to their starting point after a volley of attacks? I quickly glanced downstream, following the course of the river, and saw only destruction and smoldering earth. Whoa. I thought the contest must have been dramatic, given the explosion sounds I heard from a distance, but all of the Arashiyama scenery had been destroyed. Knowing this was an artificial replica of the real thing, Azazel must have gone buck wild with his most powerful spears of light. His armor was broken in a few places, and his black wings were clearly disheveled. Cao's uniform and clothes were similarly torn here and there. I was beyond impressed. He'd held his own against the legendary fallen angel governor. So, this is the power of a hero, or perhaps of a true Longinus. Don't worry, Issei. Neither of us went all out. It was just a little scuffle, Azazel stated. That scuffle had left the whole downstream area utterly devastated. Your familiar makes a fine team, Cao said as he cracked his neck. Perhaps I should have expected as much from the servants of a famous demon youth, Ria's Gremory. I'd assumed this would be easy, but you proved me wrong. If my assumptions were correct, it was your power, Issei Hyoto, that brought all those unusually capable individuals together. You may lack natural talent and demonic potential, but your dragon qualities have attracted some of the best fighters. They do say dragons excel at gathering strength, no? For better or for worse. You clearly excel in that respect. The continuous stream of famous beings seeking to battle you, your encounters with each of the Dragon Kings, and the support of your breast dragon fans are proof enough. Even in the absence of your king, you manage your familiar with exceptional calm. It may have been a naive and flawed strategy, but I shudder to think what you might accomplish with more experience. I hadn't even considered those possibilities. Everything that had happened was because of me? Cao narrowed his eyes in an amused expression. That is why we do not intend to make the same mistakes as the old demon regime. I firmly believe you will one day be the most dangerous of all Red Dragon Emperors. The other members of your familia pose similar threats. Thus, by engaging you now, we have hopefully attained the valuable data for analysis. Was that how he saw me? Us? Those heroes definitely regarded us as far more than the old demon regime did. We were in a bind. I wasn't used to dealing with opponents like this. Until now, my foes had always underestimated me, which led to them letting their guards down. I have a question for you, Azazel stated. What is the hero faction after? Cao Cao didn't try to disguise the mirth in his eyes. Lord Governor, this may come as a surprise, but our goals are simple. To know the limits of what it means to be human and to test them. It will be humans who overcome demons, dragons, fallen angels, and every other supernatural force. Yes, it will be humans who prevail. So, you want to be heroes. I guess you are descended from them. Salsar pointed up at the deep blue sky. This is but a small challenge from a band of frail mortals. We wish to discover the heights of which humans can aspire. That's all. Humans. They wished to learn what humans were truly capable of. That was their goal? No, there had to be some other motive too. Itsuzo let out a tired sigh. Issei, don't get careless. This guy's more formidable than Shaoba, the former leader of the old demon regime. Remember that anyone who seeks you out is going to be pretty damn strong. This guy ranks up there with Volley in terms of the danger he poses. Salsa was as formidable as Volley. If his attitude and bearing were any indication, he might have been even stronger. And to think that he wielded the ultimate sacred gear, the Holy Spear too. Talk about menacing. Now that Azazel had returned, we adjusted our battle formation, and our enemies did the same. More anti-monsters rose from the shadows. There was no end in sight. Moreover, the enemy had, for the most part, been holding back. Now, however, they were truly readying themselves. A second wave, it seemed, would be the genuine battle. By the looks of it, they had more sacred gear users and balance breakers too. Lately, it felt like one crisis after another. Would that goddess of salvation appear to me again this time? I didn't think I could rely on the blessings of some god of press for aid again. My mind was racing when a magic circle and a design I'd never seen before unfolded in the space between our group and that of the heroes. That's... Cecil seemed to recognize the pattern. Who was it? A fallen angel? The figure who emerged from the light was that of a cute girl. A foreigner wearing what resembled a wizard's outfit. A girl? I was taken aback. She had a large, wide-brimmed hat and a cape. She truly did look like a mage. Judging by her appearance, she must have been around middle school age. She was quite petite. After turning to face us, she bowed deeply. "Greetings," she said to us with a broad smile. "I'm Lefay Pendragon, a mage from Team Valley. I'm so happy to meet you all." She belongs to Volley's team. Why is someone from his group here? Pendragon, Azazel said to Lefay. Are you related to Arthur? "Yes, he's my older brother. He's always looking out for me." She was a cruel noble swordsman's sibling? I would have never guessed he had a cute younger sister. Azazel scratched his chin. Lefay, I guess you're named after legendary sorceress Morgan Lefay then. I suppose the legend does say that Morgan was a blood relative to the hero Arthur Pendragon. Lefay was staring at me, her eyes positively sparkling. She stuck out her hand as she approached. I'm a huge fan of the Breast Dragon TV show. If you don't mind, can I shake your hand? I was so dumbfounded that I didn't know how to react. How could she request that in the middle of a battlefield? In any event, I mumbled thanks for her support as I took her hand. Yippee! Lefay was truly overjoyed. What was she doing here exactly? Salsa watched on, clearly as stunned as we were. After a moment, he rubbed the back of his head, letting out a sigh. You're with Volley. What are you doing here? Lefay answered his question without hesitation, her smile still radiant. I've brought a message from Volley. I thought I told you not to get in my way. That's it. And now you need to be punished for trying to spy on our team. The earth shook violently as a tremendous war erupted. What now? An earthquake? It took all my strength to keep standing. Azia and Kuno had already tumbled to the ground. That was the sound of something breaking. Looking around, I saw that the land had been split open. and a gigantic figure was emerging. Tearing through the dirt, flinging away masses of soil, was a titanic creature. What is that thing? Was it made out of stone? Boulders? I couldn't tell, but it was definitely inorganic. Its arms and legs were enormous. It had to be at least 10 meters tall. Azazel stared up at the creature. A Gog-Magog. Lefay nodded. That's right. Gokun is our team's power specialist. Gokun? How could they have given it such a cute nickname? Teach, what is that stone giant? I asked, frightened to hear the answer. Sorry for asking all these questions today, Teach. A Gog-Magog. It's a type of golem-like entity abandoned in the dimensional void, in a state of suspended animation. They're mass-produced super weapons some ancient deities created. They should have all ceased functioning by now, though. A golem? I see. So this is why they seem so unnatural. There are a lot of things like that in the dimensional void. But look at it, it's moving. That isn't suspended animation, I said. Yeah, this is their first working one I've ever seen. Honestly, I've got a ton of questions about this too. I thought they were all abandoned in the void and non-functional. To see one in working condition, I'm bursting with excitement. Azazel's eyes were glimmering like those of a young child. He sure had a fondness for old artifacts and weapons created by the divine. Still, he quickly regained his composure, muttering, I see. So, Volley wasn't just hanging around the dimensional void to spy on the Great Red. That's right, Lefay answered. Volley was searching for Gokun. Ophius mentioned finding a working giant in the dimensional void once, so we went hunting for it. Hey, so who else exactly is on your team? I questioned. They already had the descendant of Sun Wukong, Fenrir, and a golem, so I was feeling pretty nervous about eventually finding them one day. Well, there's Volley, Biko, my brother Arthur, Kuroka, little Fenrir, Gokun, and me. 7 in total. Okay, so they had 7 members. Still, this was too much. It was a band of one big name after another. Teach, I thought the Great Red occupied the dimensional void. The dimensional void is the final destination for things that are a pain to dispose of any other way. The Great Red just likes swimming around in there, and they don't do him any harm. He's a special being. Basically, he's not among anyone's hit rankings or hit lists. All he wants to do is float around in the void unhindered, Azazel replied. The Gog-Magog raised his fists over the assembled heroes before bringing them crashing down. With a tremendous smash, the golem crushed Togetsukiyo Bridge with a single swing. That was one of Arashiyama's famous sights. It was a good thing this one was only a replica of a real thing. The golem strike eradicated a number of the anti-monsters. The heroes, however, all managed to leap to safety on the other side of the river. Looks like Volley's angry. He must have realized we were keeping tabs on him. Cao Cao laughed, aiming his spear towards the golem. Take this! Longinus' tip extended, piercing the golem's shoulder. The huge golem recoiled from the blow, crashing to the ground. Whoa, the impact felt like another earthquake. That thing had to be impossibly heavy. The entire area was shaking back and forth. Cao Cao's spear had knocked the golem down in one single hit. It certainly had a lot of functions, being able to generate blades of light and lengthen at will. Now that the bridge was destroyed, the only way to cross the river was by flying, right? I pondered our next move. And that was when another figure appeared, swaying uncertainly on the far shore. It was a familiar silver-haired woman, Rosvice. Why are you all making so much damn noise? People are trying to sleep around here. Can't you all just shut up? She's still drunk, and pissed too. The band of heroes glanced at one another, puzzled at the sight of the approaching drunkard. No sooner did they realize that she was a member of our familia than they prepared to attack. This was bad. In her present state, Rosvice was in serious danger. We had to go help her. But before we could race across the river, Huh? What's this? You want to go? You betcha. I wasn't that old clogger Odin's bodyguard for nothing. I'll give you all a little taste of this Valkyrie. She cried, and far too many magic circles appeared above her. There must have been hundreds. Norse magic. This'll counter anything, any attribute, any spirit, any damn divine being. Eat this! A tremendous amount of energy erupted from Rosvice's race, spiraling through the air and raining down on the band of heroes. Whoa! I marveled. It was incredible. Fire, light, water, electricity, magic of every type conceivable was ripping through all in its path as it bore down on the heroes. Houses, shops, the road, nothing was spared. Rosvice laid all to devastation. I had known she was an expert magic user, but I never imagined that she could be on the level of an entire town. Perhaps I should have expected as much after how well she had fought during our battle against Loki. The press sure knew how to pick good members. Rosvice would undoubtedly do well in the rating game. Mist began to enter my field of vision. Just when it looked like the magic assault was about to tear through the band of heroes, a youth wearing a robe over his uniform unleashed a fog from his hand, repelling the barrage. That mist technique. It was capable of defending against Norse magic attacks. More vapor flooded from the mage's hand, shrouding all of the heroes. Perhaps this is getting a little too chaotic, Cao Cao said from within the fog. But it was a splendid appetizer. Governor Azazel. Cao Cao paused for a moment before declaring brightly, "We'll be holding our experiment tonight at Nijo Castle, using Kyoto's unique force field, and your nine-tailed fox, madam. If you mean to stop us, please do attend." The mist thickened. Until a moment ago, it had only been wafting around our feet, but now it had risen to our chests and faces. White vapor shrouded everything. I couldn't see more than a few centimeters ahead.
We're back to normal reality, everyone. Put away your weapons.
Azazel called out. Our group was returning to the real Arashiyama. It wouldn't do to be seen like this. I quickly dispelled my armor. In a blink of an eye, the fog cleared, revealing Togetsukiyo Bridge, busy with tourists like nothing was out of the ordinary. The bridge wasn't destroyed, meaning this was reality. Hey, Issei, you look like you're about to murder someone. What gives? Matsuda asked, staring my way. Right. We had only just crossed the Katsura River in the real world. It's nothing, I answered evasively, letting out a deep exhale. My fellow familiar members were wearing similarly grave expressions. Relaxing after what we'd all been through wouldn't be easy. Lefay was gone, and the same went for that massive golem. Had they vanished at the same time as the mist? Azazel struck a nearby electricity bolt.
Damn punks. An experiment in Kyoto. Who did they think they are, messing around with us?
Whoa, he was seriously ticked off. I hadn't seen him get this angry in a long time. Mother, my mother didn't do anything wrong. Why? Kuno was trembling. All I could do to comfort her was to stroke her head. First Cao Cao's sudden attack, and now this experiment at Nijo Castle. Press. It looks like our school trip is hurtling towards an unexpected climax.